Hi, my name is Meredyth Campbell. I'm the Vice Principal here at NCC.
I'm Rachel Peters, Miss Peters. I'm the Director of Student Services, mostly involved in student support and guidance. So we're doing Ask Me Anything, and we're starting a video series interviewing a variety of people around NCC. So we're happy to be the first to go and answer all the questions. I honestly don't know. I'd have to ask Mrs. Schmidt. I believe I am currently in my 14th year, and it could be 13th if I'm off there by 1 year.
I think there's a special prize for year 15, so you're almost there.
Yes, I haven't got the special 15-year prize yet.
And I think I started in 2014, so I think I get a special 10-year prize, Mrs. Schmidt, at graduation this year. You mean besides Miss Peters? Besides Miss Peters, Mr. Appleyard, of course. And then after that, I don't know, Mr. Appleyard.
Other than Mr. Appleyard, not sure. I believe the correct answer there is Mr. Scott Heron would be our next answer to that. And I think we're just going to have to keep the rest of our ranked order of favorite coworkers in our heads.
Besides Mr. Appleyard, I think that the sense of community here has been really important, and you just feel like you are part of something, part of what God is seeking to do through Christian education, part of what God is doing in bringing students to NCC, and I feel really humbled and privileged to be part of a team of people who are committed to teaching and learning, but also just to discipling students. There's just a special family-like energy too about being part of this campus and being able to do things together. You feel known here, and I hope that's something that our students experience as well. I studied English literature at the University of Waterloo many years ago now, and absolutely loved it.
I had a goal kind of pop up in grade 12 that I really felt like some sort of education context would make sense for me, so I joined the concurrent education program at Brock University, with my major, in addition to education, being child and youth studies. Oh, there's lots. I think my top thing is always that you are loved and valuable, and that has nothing. These are the things we should say to ourselves too, right? It has nothing to do with how successful you are or which university you get into or what your grades are, but just for being a person who is created by God and loved by Him is bottom line. And we can do a lot of comparing, we can do a lot of wishing and hoping, and and that's true of being a human as well. But I think we all just want our kids to leave knowing that above all else, like, they are loved by the creator of the universe, and we love them too. Yeah, and that's what we hope for ourselves, right? And our colleagues, and we want to model that, but we know that life is hard sometimes, and we get those messages mixed up sometimes. So. I spend most of my time either connecting with our resource team or teachers, trying to create plans of support and ways to come alongside students that are struggling or maybe need a particular way of approaching their learning needs. Collaboration in that way, and then a lot of my time is spent in my office having conversations with students about their pathway planning
My duties are mainly attached to our academic day, so anything to do with the flow of the day, the scheduling for that, being in classrooms, keeping up with the curriculum, supporting teachers, dialoguing with students, sometimes in challenging or disciplined conversations, but always attempting to be relational there. Yeah, liaising with other school leaders and, just trying to stay up to date and, presenting our staff with professional development opportunities, and just working closely with Ms. Peters in Student Services and Mr. Baird as the principal, and hopefully connecting as well with our families, and just making sure that, each part of our day is well connected and integrated. I think one of the most energizing things about being here is just watching students really dig into their learning, and when we see what they're producing and what they're excited about, and when they find that course or that particular extracurricular activity or whatever it may be about being part of our community that just clicks for them, and you just really see them come to life. That's inspiring too.
Do you want me to go? I did think about this question. Something that I'm actually don't want to say out loud, but a little bit proud of. I've tried to be more intentional about being a morning person. There's just a lot of information and statistics that would indicate that people who have a consistent morning routine are better prepared for the day. So I'm giving that a go, and it's been probably about 3 to 4 weeks where I've been sort of slowly implementing more early mornings, morning workouts. And so far it's been great, but we're creatures of habit. So we shall see what the outcome of that that change is.
Something we started recently, Ms. Peters actually does a lot to lead the Back to School Bash, or B2SB as we've called it. How many years now? Maybe
we've done it three years.
times, as sort of our welcome to school celebration, sort of like just a fair with games and activities outdoors at the beginning of the school year, where we also promote all of the activities that will be happening that year, and students get to sign up and learn more about what's happening at NCC, and then just get to know each other around outdoor games and food together. So it has a really celebratory feel and just a casual outdoor time. So that's always one of my favorites, because we get to connect with new students, welcome back returning students, and just try to start building relationships as we move into the more structured September schedule.
I love our International Week. There's so much going on, and sometimes you're not even sure what's going on throughout the week, because there's just so many small things happening at lunch. But usually that culminating day where we have the whole gym full of presentations visually with cultural information and items, and then the food obviously is the highlight. Is just so fun seeing students, parents, Mrs. Jackie, the kitchen staff pull off an unbelievable day, but centering around the food.
We would love to bring back more of our opportunities for Alumni Connections. I know that pre-pandemic we were hosting people a lot more on campus, and that is picking up again, and it has been so refreshing to see families back on campus, former students coming to visit. We love when you reach out to enroll and just say, hey, I'm coming, would you mind if I booked a tour? I'd love to see how things have changed or developed at NCC. And then often we're meeting students whose parents attended. So again, those legacies, it's just amazing to hear about how folks have heard about NCC and then pass that along to their families as well. So do reach out if that's you and you'd love to reconnect with us.
I guess the cop-out answer would be it's different for every student. The Canadian education system has different content and curriculum, but also some different delivery methods, just different focuses and stresses that are really key in our educational system that might be just different in different education systems. So I think that transition academically paired with, for some students, being away from their family while they're eager and excited, it can just be a difficult time. So integrating into a new community is a challenge, which I think many students find goes really well at NCC. There's a lot of support in our residents and with other students, and our faculty are really supportive. But yeah, the difference in maybe education,
even food, different food, right? Yeah, different learning styles, a lot more discussion-based classroom teaching styles. And so that's something sometimes for students to get used to, who have experienced more of a top-down model that they can actually engage with their teachers. So getting them to open up sometimes in the classroom can be challenging. I think culture shock is a real thing, right? So whether you're just a couple hours away or whether you have come from overseas, try to be really sensitive to what students' needs might be. I think that's why it's so important for us to do some of those early community building exercises too, and dorm staff work hard to really do a great job with the orientation and welcoming students and just making sure they know what supports are here for them. Just one?
I don't know if
I think it depends what hat I'm wearing. Like my mom motto would be different than my VP motto, although there's a lot of overlap there. I have a kind of motto this year is like a lean in kind of motto. Like, where are the areas where I can do a better job of just, it's risk taking, but leaning into the challenge, maybe not always knowing what the approach or the answer is, but just feeling like, hey, I'm here to support, I'm here to learn. The older I get, the less I know. I think that's the best one for me.
Historically, it's been The Princess Bride for any of those cult followers. Currently, I can never think of my favorite movie.
That can be also the favorite book.
The
Princess Bride. Yeah.
So.
When I decided to move into administration, I thought I would, really struggle with that, with missing, being in the classroom. And I do. I try to be in classrooms a lot, and it's not the same as teaching, but at least that, engagement with students and being invited in to participate in a discussion or meet with students about their work. And I think hosting the English lab after school on Wednesdays is sort of one way that I try to still stay in touch with the English department, because I really do miss engaging with students over what they're reading and working on writing together. So that's one way that I do stay connected.
Other than this one, which I've had for a long time, during university I worked at a garden center. And it was great. We just worked hard, long hours, got a suntan, got in shape, worked with a bunch of students. Super fun.
Yeah, this really is my favorite job. I did not like my growing up kind of jobs. Babysitting, no. Camp counselor, that was pretty fun. But it wasn't really a job.
Costa Rica.
Laurel, Mississippi. The home of Hometown.
What?
Hometown. You watch that show?
No.
I just want to go there and tour all the houses they fixed up.
You should have said that's your favorite.
They fixed up like 50 historic houses there or something. Mine probably is perceived as quite formal, although I would like it to be more relaxed.
Indescribable. Yeah. I don't know. I just think of it's a lot of planning. Like it's just supportive,
guiding.
Yes, it's guiding.
Yeah, it's hard to put in one word though.
Yeah.
So the framing question that I always try to come back to is, what would love look like in this? So for this student in this situation, what is the best approach? So that often helps me to have a perspective that is generous and that leaves space for, that student to tell their story and for me to be open to, I guess, the complexity of what it can mean to respond to a discipline situation. And consistency is really important too, but that doesn't mean the same thing necessarily, the same response for everybody, just meaning that we do hold students to a high standard here. Our model of like high expectations, high support, whether that be in the classroom or in a discipline situation or when we're, in our own professional development, is something that we hold to at NCC. The biggest difference is just like knowing everybody's name. And I feel like here there is not a student that would, I don't know if it's fair to say, like no one would slip through the cracks if they're having trouble, that somebody would notice and there would be somebody to connect to. And yeah, just feeling known, as I said maybe at the beginning of our conversation, is the biggest difference.
Yeah, so I think there's sort of a trajectory over the course of their time at NCC where grade 9, 10s, and 11s sort of build up in terms of how many checkpoints there would be within class, for example, in careers class, conversations, reviewing course changes, timetable requests every year are points where we have, through guidance, conversations with students to review their plans, ongoing conversations with parents as well as it deals with pathway planning, and then ramping things up a lot in grade 11 where we start to have full grade meetings where we're giving a lot of information about the process towards applications. We have visitors from universities and colleges, recruiters visit our school where students can meet with them. We've done trips in the past to go visit campuses, and then again those individual meetings about sort of how students are researching, preparing, and actually doing their applications and making decisions about where they want to go. We also use our advisory program on Wednesdays to have conversations and information with the grade 12s and other grades on some of those important topics that students need to consider, talk about, and teachers step in helping with a lot of those conversations too. I think that students can get really caught in sort of their first thought of where they should go to university, and so there's a lot of shoulds in there, or focusing maybe too heavily on the criteria of where are my friends going. That's an important piece in the criteria, but really to do a wide range of research, thinking about what environment suits you well, what priorities are there in terms of what experience you want to get socially out of a university experience, but also just the difference in programs that schools offer that students often don't take a look at. So yeah, when students are being too maybe nearsighted or narrow in why they're choosing a school, I think can sort of surprise them later. So whether they haven't researched or haven't visited the school or haven't ask the more specific questions towards their goals. So that's sort of like, what criteria matches my values and goals? Mm-hmm. When that's not aligned, that can be really really surprising, really challenging for students. So making sure they're doing that like soul searching of what are those criteria, and those criteria should be different for everybody on what's most important. Some it might be more about the money, some it might be more about the location or about the program or about the size of the school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I've always appreciated that about some of the university prep sessions, that when you talk to students, you remind them that more than just the academic part of things, you have to choose a place that's going to feel like home, a place that is going to nurture you. So you have to look at the broader campus offerings, even just the vibe, if I can use that word, of a really big school that's really spread out versus a smaller school, and be honest with yourself about what is going to be best for me, and where am I going to find my people to connect with, and what are, like you said, the values that I have, because you're not suddenly going to, change and be a different person. You can broaden your horizons, but you need to have a place where you can feel safe and connected and at home in order to learn well. Exercise.
That's good. I did that. I didn't do a lot, but I did do the sports stuff. I would say I lived at home with my family, and either way, whether you're in dorm or whether someone is at home, just getting involved in more things would have been to my advantage. I had some friends, still around town, and I wasn't completely isolated, but just felt like there was maybe this sort of sphere that I was missing because I wasn't being super intentional about being involved. So just whatever it is that's important to you, I would really encourage students to find a way to be meeting people, trying new things, even if it's more recreational.
Yeah,
that's a good balance. So, and that could be more like exercise, going to the gym, doing the sports things.
Yeah, just getting involved. I think finding a network of people in your classes too, right, that you can connect with, study with, and just start there, even just getting to know a few names of people in your classes. I think our students who are living in dorm have that experience already coming from here too. So maybe that part isn't as much of an adjustment, but there is work to do to get connected, especially on a big campus where everybody has different schedules. So it can be challenging, but it's really important.
The other thing that I wish I would have done better in first year, I got a bit better with this throughout university, but was actually just making my sort of presence known with my professors, to actually have just, not necessarily academic, but just conversations so that they know who you are, where you feel a little bit more comfortable digging into the content or assignments that you're doing. So just be a little bit more maybe vulnerable or transparent with professors, especially in big classes. It's easy to do that when you're in a seminar, when you have to be doing that in a small class, but most of them are there and will answer questions and chat with you for a minute after class, and a lot of people don't do that. I wish I would have been more comfortable doing that. I'm Miss Rachel Peters.
And I'm Mrs. Meredyth Campbell.
And you can ask me anything. Hi, I'm Miss Rachel Peters. I'm the Director of Student Services here at NCC.
And I'm Mrs. Meredyth Campbell, and I'm the Vice Principal.
And you can ask me anything.
Awesome. I love it.
Should we be looking at the camera? I just don't want to be like...
I don't know about this tech team.
Come on, guys. You're going to do bloopers, right?
Yeah.
I'm Meredyth Campbell. I'm the younger Meredyth Campbell. Contrary to popular belief, we are not twins or related. So AMA, does that mean ask Meredyth anything?
Well, it's ask me anything, but I don't want to answer all the questions.
Getting into some more personal details about you. Not too personal. What are your life mottos?
Just one?
I don't know if I'm...
Yeah. What about tomato?
That's my favorite motto.
Queen of Town. What's the motto with you?
So good.
I cannot think of favorite movies. That is always the toughest question.
When's
to
the last
answer.
time you were at a movie theater?
Well, I watch a lot of movies, but I
Just
just
at home,
can't
yeah.
ever remember one when I'm prompted to.
Yeah.
It's more about the poor memory than
It is.
than the important list.
What motivated you to become this person?
Yeah, it's probably more about who, and I'll just leave it there.
Miss Peters, what is the most memorable coaching experience?
Most memorable coaching experience.
Do you coach sports?
Why do I feel like I know who asked this question? Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you like when they mix us up though, and they send you messages that say, "Dear Miss Campbell,"
Yes.
and I get "Dear Miss Peters"?
I also get Dear Mr. Peters. We have another teacher on campus with the last name Peters who is not related in any way. So
Laurel, Mississippi.
Why? So specific.
It's the home of Hometown. Hometown. You watch that show?
no.
I just want to go there and tour all the
should have
houses
said
they
that's
fixed
your,
up.
You should have said that's your favorite.
They fixed up like 50 historic houses there or something, so I want to go and tour them.
Do we want to
So you go first,
Okay.
and then I go second, say my
Okay.
name, and then
If you miss
together, and you can ask me anything.